we're really excited about today, and particularly the fact that you've raised your hand. We need you. We need you. So let's start with some introductions. I'd love to have my two colleagues introduce themselves. Three colleagues. Megan's here too. And then I'm going to come back and I'd like each one of you to tell me what is inspiring you to lead a study abroad program, and what are you thinking? What's your dream out there, so that we just get a sense going forward of how we can focus on supporting you. So Crystal, would you be so kind as to start, and let's record.
Great, thank you so much, Catherine, and good morning to all of you here today. My name is Crystal Booker-Roish, and I am the program manager for the Office of Global Education. I am very excited to meet all of you and get to know all of you a bit better. And yes, so anything else, Catherine, that you'd like?
That's great. Okay. Thank you. Nicola?
Yeah, hi, good morning. My name is Nicole Heron. I'm a study abroad coordinator with the office. I've been here in this role for 3 years, and I was a student staff for 2.5 years before that. And then I also did my undergrad at CU Denver. So I've been on campus for about 10 years. I did a semester study abroad during my junior year to London. And most recently, just a month ago, actually, I went on one of our short-term programs as a site visit with Food Fight in Spain to understand the complete start to finish for our students on short-term programs. So I manage a portfolio of programs, short-term faculty led on the Denver campus, as well as the Anschutz campus, and then support all of the independent travelers who go out of both campuses.
Thank you, Nicole. Megan?
Hello, everyone. My name is Megan White, and I am the Study Abroad Administrative Assistant. I'm also a graduate student. I also studied abroad at CU Denver for my undergraduate studies, and during that time, I did a semester in Beijing, China on the ICB campus. I did a short-term program with communications in Spain, and then I did a third-party provider in South Korea and an internship in Singapore. So I studied abroad quite a few times. I've enjoyed all of the international education, and I'm excited to work here.
Thank you, Megan. So calling on the faculty and staff now, let me just ask you again to tell me, what's on your mind? What's your dream? What's inspiring you in just a minute or two? Can I start with you, Pete? You're first on my screen.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Pete Ellingson. I'm with the College of Arts and Media in the music department. And I just really enjoy Cuban music in particular. I'm a performer, and I teach a salsa and Latin jazz ensemble here at the school. And I first led a study abroad trip to Cuba in 2020 with a focus on music in the winter term of 2020. And I haven't led it since. So given all the changes that I'm sure have happened with COVID and everything, I just thought it'd be good to just get up to speed on everything. And my hope is to lead that again in January of 2023.
Okay, great, Peter. That'd be good timing. And welcome, Ivan. Ivan, we're just going through and having the faculty introduce themselves with a little word about what's inspiring them to want to lead study abroad and where they may want to go. So can I go to you, Wyndham?
Okay, I'm Wyndham Lepesco. I teach in the business school and the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. I don't have any courses this term to my disappointment. I've proposed trips in France and Poland. I've been to France over 200 times. I'm married to a French woman. I've been to Poland over 60 times. I have had just a warmth and depth of experiences in these two countries that I want to share with my students and hopefully open them to the joys of getting outside their own culture and experiencing in depth other cultures.
Love it. Thank you so much. Yvette?
Hello, my name is Yvette Bueno Olson. I am a senior instructor in the Department of Communication, and I have accompanied EJ Yoder on the Food Fight course, which some of you have participated in the past. And so my interest is also similar to Wyndham, just the transformative nature of being out of your comfort zone and in some ways forced to connect in ways you haven't before, and how that leads to growth and development in ways that being in the classroom just doesn't. So that's really my inspiration, is that it transforms students in ways that beyond the classroom. And the cultural component to it in my own life has been very important, because I spent part of my growing up years between the ages of 11 and 16 in the Dominican Republic, and being pulled in and out and dropped into another culture, and then pulled out and dropped back into the same culture, and just negotiating identity and understanding. I think I think there's a lot that students could benefit from the experience. So the course that I would like to propose is for winter 2023 in the Dominican Republic around health beliefs and health systems.
Just listen to the rich backgrounds you guys are all bringing to the table. It's just so exciting. Welcome, Emily. We're just going around and having the faculty tell us what's inspiring them to want to lead study abroad, and what is their dream here. Can I go to you now, Annie?
Hi all, I'm Annie Miller. I'm a clinical track assistant professor in the School of Public Affairs. And I'm leading a program to, I hope, Bosnia and Croatia. I have a sister in Bosnia. She lives in Sarajevo, and she's not a sister by blood, but she lived with us during the war in the 90s. So it was an incredibly influential experience for me to live with someone who she's ethnically Bosniak, so practices Islam infrequently. She's, modern woman, doesn't necessarily conform to ethnic traditions. So I think a large focus of the study abroad is actually going to be about ethnic governance. So the program would be about policy and politics in Eastern Europe. And particularly some of the odd arrangements that have happened because of US interventions in reconstructing government after the failure of Yugoslavia. So I specialize in anti-trafficking work. I work here locally for the Laboratory to Combat Human Trafficking. So a lot of our policy studies will be about migration, safety, services, and anti-trafficking efforts. So I have a colleague at UCCS in the School of Public Affairs who's going to go with me and lead a program jointly among the two campuses, we hope. That's what we're working on. And we will be on the coast in Croatia at University of Zadar, and then in Sarajevo, partnered hopefully with University of Sarajevo. So that's kind of what we're looking at.
Oh, and thank you for touching on the fact that it's so incredibly important that our students actually get to know people on the ground, to get to know the locals and understand them. Thank you, Annie.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to get to work with each of the presidents. It's a 3-president system. And so our students are we have contacts already with advisors to each of the ethnic presidents. And so we'll talk to all of those leaders in that country about what it's been like to lead through ethnicity versus political identity.
Oh, wow. I'd like to go on that one. How about down to you, Emily?
Yeah, hi everyone. Emily Wagner, First Year Experience Associate Director. So I am really just exploring study abroad with first year experiences with some of our courses. So I teach an anime class. And Christy Heaton, our Assistant Vice Chancellor, lived in Japan for over a year and taught English over there for a while. And we have this long running dream that one day we can take the students in this class over to Japan for about 10 days or so to get them immersed in the culture. Obviously, Japanese anime studios are out there, we would love to set up tours of some of those studios, get them into Studio Ghibli, and look at, just how it's made, and also talk with some of the creators of anime around the cultural aspects of it, because anime is seen as one of Japan's quote unquote cool exports. And there's a lot of research around how fans in other countries are, taking anime into their own cultural contexts. My class also talks a lot about gender and sexuality and identity in anime characters and the impact it has on American fans. And also the cultural side of those identities in Japan, but then being translated over into America. So I'm really hoping that one day we can do it. It is very expensive though, going to Japan. So I think that's one of the big hangups. But yeah, that's what we're hoping to do. So I'm just here to learn more and just start planning.
I love how you're all talking about underrepresented countries too. These are places where we definitely have capacity. And you know, when it comes to cost, we are really trying to focus on scholarship opportunities for students. And so much has to do with preparing the students long-term so that they can come up with the funds and use their financial aid and navigate that difficult part of it. Okay, Sumia.
Hi, I'm Soumya Bardhan, Assistant Professor in Communication. And so I have led several study abroad programs in France, Spain, Morocco, and India, but all of those through my former institution. I've not offered any through CU Denver. So I wanted to get a sense of how things work here. And hoping to offer a program in India in January of 2023. So that's the plan, December, January 2023. And in terms of areas of interest, my background is in global communication, culture, religion, intercultural dialogue. And specifically looking at religion and the religious dynamics of communication, Islam, Muslim communities, and so on and so forth. So my programs until now have focused on intercultural dialogue in all these different spaces and cultures that I have had the opportunity to travel with my students. And I want to do the same in India, especially focusing on the post-colonial framework and Hindu-Muslim relationships. And like everybody has mentioned here, I mean, all of us know if we have done something like, or if we have personally experienced, studying abroad or in a space that is not familiar to us, how transformative that kind of education can be. So really, in a nutshell, that's the reason why I would love to keep doing this. And in the past 2 years, because of COVID, an essential part of my identity as a teacher has sort of been challenged because of COVID. I've not been able to offer courses so really looking forward to be able to doing something soon.
Outstanding. How fascinating. I know myself, I lived in Egypt for maybe 3 years, but I didn't quite understand it until I went back and took a course. So, and then you, Ivan?
Hi, everyone. How are you? Sorry, my Wi-Fi, I think I've been having issues, so I've been coming in and out. But I'm interested in, I've actually been talking to Catherine and Crystal about developing a program in South Korea, but I have 2 ideas that I'm pursuing, and whichever one works initially is what I'm going to go for. So I'm first of all, I'm a faculty member in the Department of Health and Behavioral Sciences. And the programs I'm interested are to contribute to our undergraduate program in public health. So the 2 areas that at the moment I'm thinking about are in Seoul, South Korea. And that program would be focused on global urban health and environment. And through I have family there, and I have a network there. So that is something I'm exploring. And that would be with Ewha Women's University initially, but there are other partners over there. The other is at the University College London, and that would be with their Institutes for Global Health and their Institutes for Disaster Risk Reduction. So that program would be global health, but focused on climate change and disasters, because that's what they specialize in. And so my programs that I'm interested in are really bringing the students to tap into this network abroad, whether it's Asia or in Europe through London, and through all the professionals and the NGOs that are there, and tapping them into that making those connections for them. I'm particularly interested in recruiting students from underrepresented communities and underserved communities. And why? Because that's I identify, growing up in inner city in New York, I had participated through a community college in a trip to go to Paris. And that really just, I'm from Ecuador originally, so I've been to Ecuador, but it was my first time in Europe. And it really opened up my eyes. And I've been to Europe many times and other places too, and to do field work in addition to educational aspects. So I really understand how transformative that is, and to get out of the neighborhood and I think it's really important. So my emphasis is on those underrepresented groups, but in general, I want to develop these programs for our students here at CU Denver to make these connections abroad.
Outstanding, outstanding. And what good topics. You'll see in the next session that there's about 4 other faculty that will be joining us. We'll send them a recording because they couldn't make this one. And if you do miss one, we will also send you the recording for that session. But the other faculty are from the CII office and also the psychology department. So we're going to have a really good group of you to work with. It's really good timing for us to be kicking this off because we're just coming off of 3 very successful programs during winter. 1 to Italy, 1 to Spain, and 1 to Cuba. There were 2 students who tested positive for COVID and they had to be quarantined, and we managed it. The rest of the students were so transformed and so enlightened when they came back that some of them even came to our fair in February and said, I want to do it again. And that's what we want to hear. As you know, our strategic plan, which is, I think, world-class, includes a line that they would like to offer experiential opportunities to every student on campus. Every student on campus. And that's a big part of what Study Abroad is all about. And in my view, not only do we need to inspire these students to be global citizens and to be aware of the economies and the politics around them, but I want to also get them into the international workforce. Only about 3% of the expats around the world are Americans, and other countries are doing a much better job of preparing their youth to join the global workforce. I was really excited to wake up today and get an email in from one of our recent graduates, Sydney Berry. I don't know if you know her. She was in international studies, and I've been coaching her for the last year. And she's in Greece working in 2 refugee camps, and she's hooked. So she's applying for law school and is wanting to make a life career out of this. She's so motivated helping them. And I'm not surprised knowing her background story. And there's so much potential. We did a survey of students in 2019 and discovered that only 50% of the students are even aware of study abroad. And of the average of 560 students that we were sending abroad over the last 3 years before COVID, only 3% are African Americans, 6% Asian, 18% Hispanic, and 6% international students. And for international students, this is a bargain to be able to go at these rates compared to what they're paying. So there's a lot of potential. So what are we doing behind the scenes to support you as you develop your program? We're trying to identify more scholarship opportunities. Last week, Crystal led a really fascinating panel about scholarships, financial aid, and veterans benefits, which is a recording that's available on our site so that you can get familiar with that, but we'll also talk about it more during our series. We're expanding our marketing opportunities and looking for new ways. Crystal's been over to the library a couple times to try to make herself available to students. I sat at City Heights last week for 2 hours meeting with 1st and 2nd year students, and I was overwhelmed with the number of students wanting to talk about study abroad. We're also diversifying our programs, hopefully our participation, and that's where you come in. I like some of your destinations. Yesterday, I had talks with the senior university reps about getting CCD into our study abroad program. So we're developing a roadmap to be able to open our programs for students there. And I understand we already have a co-register process there. So we're doing lots of ways that we can try to raise that awareness because we understand not a lot of students are aware. Other things we've done, you heard from Emily, is we've been reaching out to 1st year students, and out of our faculty who are leading programs, 90% of them welcomed 1st year students on their programs. So far, so good. And we're participating in Black History Month next week, Crystal. So that I think it's Monday evening at 5 o'clock, tune in. There's going to be a whole session about study abroad. We have a new grant for advisors in 2 of the schools to get the advisors. We'll select 2 advisors to go on a study abroad program and then help us to market it to students and come up with plans. We have a new passport scholarship for students, particularly 1st gen that have never had a passport. The list goes on, domestic programs, virtual programs, and lots of ways that we're trying to tap every student on campus. So it's a great time for you to join the effort. We thank you very much. And I hope you can join all series, and we'll be sitting down soon to work on details. So digging right in, I wanted Megan to kick us off with a little bit more about her experience. Over to you, Megan. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. So, like I mentioned before, I studied abroad quite a few times during my undergraduate, and the whole reason why I chose CU Denver was because the semester in Beijing program. And then when I got there, I realized there are so many opportunities, and I was really drawn to the short-term faculty-led programs just because it was, within CU Denver, not having to worry about credit transfers. So it was really interesting to me how supportive the department was. I was in Department of Communication and everything. Within the Department of Communication, I recognized that they did a lot of great marketing strategies. They had a lot of classroom visits where a few of their faculty would come into my classroom and talk about their program, share their brochure. So that was really interesting, just seeing how all the faculty coming in and sharing their program with you. And then I also thought they also did a great job with marketing, with having information sessions. I know with pre-COVID, you would have them in person, but now it's nice that you have Zoom. A lot of students are wanting to sit in on informational sessions on Zoom, just so they can access more information about the program. Also, what drew me towards the communication department was the faculty within them. They're all supportive and great. And I was really drawn to EJ because of her program in Spain. I think everyone knows, but the Spain program, Food Fight, is a long-running program, and it's because of how well it's run and the marketing strategies and the students she pulls to get the numbers up. It was really interesting to see a lot of the students, her students, were going on these programs because they took classes with her. And I think that's really important that the faculty were building that relationship with the students. So my whole time throughout my undergrad was really impactful because I was able to really connect with the faculty and the other students within my department and just have a great experience through all of my study abroad programs.
Thank you, Megan. We're so grateful that she's been on our team for over a couple of years now. And between her and some of her colleagues, they did 35 classroom visits since August. So they're really getting out there, spreading the word. So moving on to the next section, if you want to be an angel of study abroad, the devil's in the details, but we have a handbook. So I want to hand it over to Nicole to tell you a little bit more about roles, responsibilities, and our handbook.
Thanks, Catherine. So I want to start this with a quick little poll, just to make this a little bit more engaging. And I don't know about you all, but as a learner, I like being tested on things, and even though it's not really a test. So we are going to launch a quick poll about program development resources. Let me know, I just launched it. Let me know if you can't see it on your screen. I'll read it out loud. So when developing a study abroad course, who and or what should you use as a resource? And you get one choice, A being your contact in OGE in our office, 2, the faculty and staff handbook for global and domestic programs, 3, your in-country contact or contacts or your third-party provider, or all the above. Okay. I think there are just 7 of us voting. 8 of us voting. Okay, perfect. 100%. You all got it. So the answer is D, all the above. You should be using all of these resources. What's important to know is that, excuse me, the faculty handbook is your ultimate resource for developing a study abroad program. And as you go through the motions, even if you have, excuse me, even if you have run a program before, it's a really great resource to use to make sure that you're on track with everything. And it's a reference for, I mean, I look at it sometimes and it's been 7 years and it has answers that I didn't know were in there. It is a 43-page document, I think. So it can be a bit intimidating the first time you look at it, but there's a really wonderful, stop sharing that. The only word coming to my head is agenda, a table of contents in the beginning. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you all get a feel for what it looks like. Give me one moment. So the faculty handbook, as you can see here, goes through what is a global study program, what's the difference between global study, domestic study, what to do for your next steps, what's in the application, which Crystal will talk about later in this panel. So I'll save that for her. Who reviews the proposals, what to know about the design, implementation, what should a daily schedule look like? What should your syllabus look like? And that might seem like a silly question, but I can't tell you the amount of syllabi that we get that are not ready to go. So this will take you through all of the important questions, what to consider with budgeting. My biggest recommendation when you're considering proposing a program is that you come speak to us about your budget prior to submission, because we know what to look for and we help you get that budget in really good shape before it's submitted. Thinking about risk management, we are really upping our risk management policies and procedures right now, including the risk and the mitigation and management plans that we have due to COVID, due to many emerging aspects in the field, and how IRMC, our International Risk Management Committee, prefers that we manage these risks. So we're here to be your experts on that and make sure that that risk management and mitigation is truly in the best shape that it can be before submission. This handbook also talks about the roles and responsibilities differentiated between you as the faculty member and us as the Office of Global Education and your program managers. I'll talk about those roles and what's important to note in just a moment. I just want to walk through, give you an example of what this handbook really does for you. Every single question almost every question you could ask is addressed in this handbook. I find it very thorough. If it doesn't answer your question, we certainly are here to do that for you. It outlines deadlines, timelines, which I will also go through in a moment. And it also lists a lot of our policies that we find very important to share with you. These policies are also found on our website. If you just Google CDEM or Study Abroad and then go to policies on the page, it outlines everything that you need to know about study abroad, including eligibility policies, risk management policies. Soon we'll have a vaccination policy. Talking about how you can name your program, what courses should you offer? So I'm not going to go through the whole thing because, as you can see, it's 43 pages. It's quite a bit, but we do hope that you will use it as a resource as you're planning and developing your program. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is the different roles and responsibilities between you as the faculty member and us as the Office of Global Education. The key factors here are that, and this is outlined in the handbook, so you can refer back to it, but the program development and particularly the promotion and recruiting pieces are really big responsibilities that fall to the faculty. We are here to help and we do assist in the marketing of programs, but at the end of the day, it's more of the faculty's responsibility to ensure that the program meets its minimum numbers to be able to run. So some important pieces for faculty to remember is that course approval needs to come from your department before you have submitted a program proposal. Your course syllabus needs to be in pretty good shape, and we are going to offer a syllabus review workshop prior to this upcoming deadline of March 24th. Our syllabus review workshop will happen on Friday, the 18th, and we'll send out details about that later. And this is going to be a very interactive workshop where you can bring a syllabus that is either almost finalized or a work in progress, and we'll review it with you. We'll have a member from, actually our chair of the Global Education Advisory Committee, Michelle Carpenter, will be there to help review syllabi, as well as a couple other staff and faculty who serve on that committee. So we'll go through that with you to make sure it's in the best shape it can be before submission, which makes the lives of everyone on the Global Ed Advisory Committee a little bit easier when it comes to reviewing programs and their proposals and their materials. Faculty are required to go through a faculty-specific pre-departure orientation where we walk you through important things to note that are different while you're abroad, thinking about how to report incidents and manage Clery reporting, what to do if a student gets sick, international health insurance, pretty much everything that you could want to know before you go abroad. And there's also chances for you to interact with faculty who have run programs before, and it's a really interactive piece of that pre-departure orientation that faculty in the past have told us is very beneficial to them prior to leading a program. Of course, the program facilitation is up to you as the faculty member. And then the review and debrief, and we ask that your role in the risk aspect is the mitigation pieces. So you understand the risks and you understand how to help students mitigate them while you're abroad. The big responsibilities that fall to us as the Office of Global Education include assisting you with the program development. Like I mentioned, the marketing of the program, and the budget and financial pieces are really big for us to do. We manage the majority of the risk management. We enroll students in insurance before they depart. We enroll you insurance before you depart as well. And then making sure that students complete that post-program evaluation to give you feedback for improvement if you are planning to run a program year after year. So that's just a quick overview of the different roles and responsibilities. Like I said, it's outlined in the handbook, but the biggest takeaway that I want you to know is that we are here as a resource for you and that your biggest priority is recruiting for your program to meet those minimum numbers. Let's see, the last thing that I believe we are going to talk about is the timetable. And so we are going to do one more quick poll to keep you all engaged. So the question is, how long before the program's official start date should you give yourself to plan and propose a global study program? Your answer options are 2 to 3 months, 6 months, or 12+ months. Okay. So the answer is 12+ months. We did have one person say 6 months. It's possible to do in 6 months. It's just a very tight timeline, and I don't recommend that. I don't know that Crystal or Catherine or Megan would recommend that, but by the time you consider when program proposals are due, how soon you have to start making those connections, if you either don't have them in country or you need to work with a third-party provider, or you're maybe reestablishing connections that you have in country, by the time all that is said and done, it's at minimum 6 months or 12 months, excuse me, 12 months. So what I'm going to do is share my screen again. This is a resource that we have developed for us as well as for you as faculty members. It's a really brief overview of the timeline that you should have in mind when you're developing and proposing a short-term global study program. Oh my God, let me get rid of all my notes. This is still the wrong thing. I'm so sorry. It's like we haven't all been on Zoom for 100 years. Okay, here's our timeline we're going to go through. And if anyone has questions at any time, you can stop me, please. I tend to ramble. So this timeline that we have developed is based on a summer or May-mester global study program with a deadline, an application deadline for students of March 1st. So by June, you're reminded to submit your proposal. By the July 1st deadline, we'll host workshops like we're doing now. This timeline that we're currently on, of course, is it could be applicable to both application cycles, depending on how quickly you can pull your materials together or where you are in the process already. In July, the Global Education Advisory Committee meets to review proposals, and we as OGE, we all split up and serve on different subcommittees of GEEK. We call it GEEK. And then we might preemptively contact you to go through budget-related questions, just because we know that that takes the majority of time on the preemptive side of program approval. In August, you're usually notified of your proposal decision, which is often either a yellow light because we have some concerns about the budget and or syllabus, or if it's great, which we have definitely seen in the past, then it's just greenlit and we're ready to start building that program application and recruiting students. In September, this says that faculty should attend the Study Abroad Fair. You are likely required to attend the Study Abroad Fair to ensure that recruitment happens. Last year, we did a faculty-only Study Abroad Fair and didn't invite our third-party providers, and it was really wonderful. So that may be an option this fall as well. We're going to kind of have to play it by ear, especially with COVID, as we all know. By October, we're finalizing budgets. We are promoting very, very, very heavily. And usually our application deadlines for, nope, we're on summer, sorry. So we're recruiting, and we don't actually close the application for these programs until about March. So all throughout September, October, November, December, January, February, we are recruiting via fairs, classroom visits, info sessions with you, flyers around campus, social media, whatever form of recruitment you'd like to do. All of that is involved in getting students to know about the program and to apply to it. In December, If the program is low on application numbers, then we'll start assisting with that really heavy marketing effort to make sure that students are aware of it on channels that we maybe weren't hitting before. In January, we have another study abroad fair. So the advantage of running a Maymester summer program is that you get to attend 2 study abroad fairs where you get to promote your program, whereas the winter programs usually just have that fall fair to recruit students. By February, we're assessing program application numbers and feasibility. I actually just asked for deposits for a Maymester program yesterday. So some of them are able to be confirmed very early, and shout out to Sam because we conditionally accepted students almost 2 months ago, which was amazing and such a relief. So much relief off my plate, to be honest. So thank you, Sam. And then we're reminding students to apply for scholarships. We have a scholarship, individual departments have scholarships. There are external scholarships we advise students on. And part of the program application page that we develop for you in our software has a page on the cost of the program, scholarship resources, funding resources, grants, everything that students can apply for. And then of course, we do ask for your help thinking about external scholarships. If your department has funding that we can tell students about, we're all working together to make sure that they can afford these programs. Our standard deadline for Maymester summer programs is March 1st. Sometimes that's earlier, like with the business school programs, or sometimes we push it back depending on if we have the time and if we need to keep enrolling students in this program. I'm running through this very quickly, but we are happy to share this as a resource with you to reference as you develop and predict and run a program. By the time we get to April, we're doing final risk assessments to make sure that the program can run. If you're going to a high risk destination, we'll work with you to do a travel appeal if that's necessary. We'll host pre-departure orientation sessions for you as faculty and for the students. They attend a separate one. And then if you'd like to host your own pre-departure session for students specific to your program and location, we are happy to support you to do that. Finally, we will develop and finalize the emergency action plans so that everyone has a copy of that in case there's an emergency. We can assist with evacuation or contacting whoever it is that needs to assist in that situation in country, etc. And then in April, we also, well, I'm building courses now for these study abroad programs for the Maymester and summer periods, and then students enroll finally in April. And then May and June is when they actually depart. And then everyone's usually back by the beginning of August or so. So I know that was a lot all at once. If there's any questions about any particular aspect of the process or the timeline or roles, we're happy to talk about that. But otherwise, I think we're going to keep moving to try and stay on time. Or maybe we're having a break now, Catherine.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. Great overview. And we will be sure to get you all these resources. So we'll get you the timeline. Anything that we're referring to, we'll push it out to you right after the session. And we're always here for you. So let's take a break until 10:45. I'm just going to cut it back to 5 minutes. But thank you, Sam, for joining us. Sam McGuire is from the College of Arts and Media. He runs a program that goes to Prague. And after the break, we're going to show you a film about his program, and he'll tell you what it all takes. So see you in 5 minutes. Thanks. Kind of flying through material, but it'll be worth it. Okay, everyone here? Crystal, let's tee up Sam's little video clip.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen and do that. Okay, let me know if you can't hear the sound. I always have trouble with this. Okay. 1 second, sorry.
To this introductory video about the 2022 Prague Study Abroad program for CU Denver. Castle Chekhov in the Western Hills near the border with Germany. It is one of a handful of locations we'll be using as our classroom. The Royal Lobkowitz family is opening their doors for us to use their castles and palaces for the study of acoustics, the creation of impulse responses, or extremely unique recording sessions. The Nella Josevez Castle in the birth village of composer Antonin Dvorak is another such location, where we'll be turning the Great Hall into a recording studio for perhaps the first time in history. These once-in-a-lifetime opportunities are spread throughout this trip and are at the center of this incredible adventure into the musical heart of Europe. Another tradition we're going to continue on this trip is working in the HAMU recording studios. This is one of the premier universities in the Czech Republic, and we have access to their incredible recording studios, which are housed in the Liechtenstein Palace, which is in the heart of Prague, just in the shadow of the primary castle on the hill. By day, we're going to explore. We're going to see castles, cathedrals, and the most beautiful, picturesque little villages nestled in the sides of mountains with rivers running through them. By night, we're going to see amazing music and concerts. We're going to go to jazz clubs, and we're going to go to some of the best symphonies in the world. And you're going to have some time to explore as much of the modern music that you want. I mean, this is an incredible city that has the biggest breadth of musical experiences that you could go and see anywhere in the world. So that's part of the heart of this trip, is having all of this coming at you and navigating it so you can get the best experience possible. These 2 weeks are going to be full of culture, full of music, full of amazing experiences, seeing things, experiencing things that you couldn't have actually done anywhere else. And at the end of this, you're going to come back a new person with a newfound respect for the world and all of the amazing things that are in it. That is what this trip is all about. That is why you should come on this trip with us.
What do you expect from CAM? But you don't have to have a film. You can tell your story in the classroom and on Instagram, and we lots of ways to entice students, but I just had to show you that. I'm so proud of what you've done there, Sam. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and talk a little bit about all of your study abroad experience. Sam, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so this is, I love talking about my program, and I'm glad that anything I might say might be able to help any of you. And I know that this type of experience right now in our current situation can be a little intimidating. And in fact, at CU Denver, it's always been a little intimidating in many ways. I tried to run several study abroad programs like 8 or so years ago and had just such a hard time. We couldn't run them. I never got enough students at the beginning. And then one year something kind of switched, and it's like one of those snowballs that rolls down the mountain and just picks up speed as it goes. So probably the most important thing I'll say today is that if it feels like you're not getting any traction, you may be getting more than you think you are, and it may just take, some even more hard work and some dumb luck along the way to get it started. But then a lot of the dividends pay off, I think, in spades later on. When I first wanted to do this program in Prague, I got one of the grants that they were offering at the time to go visit the location first. And so I took advantage of that and got a lot of connections set up. And that was the year that I got maybe like 2 students who signed up for it. No matter how many of the different events I went to or classrooms I talked to, it just, everyone was kind of like, I don't know much about that. I don't really know what the Czech Republic is. I don't necessarily feel drawn to that program. And so I really changed my approach for the first year that it went, which was in 2019. And I made some media like we have the video you just saw. And before the time before that, I was like in a leadership position. I wasn't in the classroom getting to know students. And the year that it went, I was back teaching, full time, and I was building relationships with students. This program is pretty niche, I would say. We do sometimes get interest from students outside of our college, and they're more than welcome to come. But I would say for the most part, recording students or music students who we have in the classroom are the ones who show the most interest. And getting to know those students and talking about it, not just once at one time, but kind of like bringing classroom activities and showing some of the reasons why this place was so important, really made a difference. And so we got those 12 students to go in 2019, and they became my marketing arm when we got back. I mean, we made sure the program was really interesting and that they were getting kind of what they were expecting out of it. We didn't want to, we're not like clickbaiting them all into coming on this trip and then not giving them something amazing. We made sure it was amazing. And then when we came back, people were writing me emails all the time. And we had a full docket to go in 2020, which of course didn't happen. And then in 2021, there was still enough buzz around it that we were able to do a virtual program. And we did, I think, like 6 or 7 students who were willing to do a study abroad over Zoom. And now this year, without doing much, we posted the application, and I maybe sent out one email to the department. And I think I still am getting applications, even though essentially we filled up every open slot. It's a limited program. We're going to try to squeeze more in if we can once we know the number. I'm going to talk to the studios and things we visit in Prague, but they are going to have their own rules about how many people can be in rooms and things like that over the next couple of years. And so we have to really be careful, but I have more interest now than we know what to do with. And it's just word of mouth and students getting excited because they've known other students who went on the program. But there's a important balance of going and doing things that I think are important and doing things that the students are going to really find meaningful. And that's the balance we always try to form. There are certain things I think that they need to know. And every time that we do them or we did it virtually or in person, it never quite plays off how I think it's going to be, just because it was meaningful to me. But the events and things that we did that were really aimed at the student learning, I think made a big difference and what drawing them back. The part of this was also, we have such amazing students. When we went the first time, we made an impression with a couple different organizations there. One of them is the Lobkowitz Collection and Lobkowitz family. They're the last royal family in the Czech Republic. They were kicked out right after World War II and during communism. They moved to Boston, and they've since come back and reclaimed their lands and their castles. And we went to one of their facilities. I just cold emailed about 12 months in advance of the program running, just to confirm that statistic you were sharing. And they said, yeah, come on a day when it's closed. And but they didn't know what we were doing, and they forwarded it to the person in charge, who is William Lobkowitz, who's like, the 12th grandson of Prince Lobkowitz, who is Mozart sponsored, or not Mozart, Beethoven sponsored, and really important in that part of the world. And later I found out that he was the one who had approved us coming. I went back on another trip right before the pandemic started, literally days before lockdown. And I met him and did an interview with him. And they said, when you come back, when you bring students, we'll open up everything we have to all of your students. So we're going to 2 of their palaces and 2 of their castles to do these things. And it's all because the first time the students were just they came in, they were respectful, they were, and what the Czechs don't think of Americans as quiet and respectful usually. And so when we are, I think it makes a huge impression on them. And so they just like given us carte blanche of everything, but that was the snowball building momentum and now doing more and more. And so I think that that type of experience is possible when you're patient and you're able to work on it over a long period of time, and don't just think, oh, I've only got one student. This isn't for me. I don't think this is ever going to happen. I think you have to kind of see the long game, especially the first couple times you're running it. This behind me, the image is a photo map of all the places we went when we were there. I like that one because Google makes cool photo maps of things, of locations. And so this was our experience in a kind of a non-traditional way of looking at things. But I mean, we were all over. We traveled quite a few places every single day. I know every student went to bed tired. We never ever really gave them probably as much a break as we should. But on the other hand, I think that kind of busy is the kind that you remember. Anyway, that was what I had prepared to speak. If there's any questions or anything for me, then I'm here to answer. But you know, just this is so worthwhile for our students. They come at the end of the video, it was a little choppy, but I was like, you're going to come back a changed person. And I played that for my wife, who's always she's actually the co-leader of this trip, and she was a film major. And she's like, do you think you're over promising by saying they're going to come back different? And I said, no. That's the one part of this that is definitely not overpromising, and it was the case in every single experience like this that I've done. It certainly is not an overpromise.
Wow, thank you,
Talk
Sam.
more to our last presenter, because I am very closely related to the Lobkowitz family.
Cool.
My wife's sister is married to Yaroslav von Lobkowitz, and we are in very close touch with them. And, you know, again, I offered in the chat, I offered to, if we can help with that. It sounds like you may not need it, but, you know, we know these folks very, very well.
Cool.
My wife talks to her sister at least once a month. And again, we've been to Timnitz, we've been to, they were at our wedding. We know them.
Very cool.
See how these programs just keep getting better and better?
So
That
we
was
should
a
talk
great story,
offline.
Sam. Yeah. Thank you. Any questions for Sam? And I know you'll be willing to be a resource as people, you know, start to dig in and develop their programs.
Sure.
Thank you. Outstanding, outstanding. Good. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us and telling that fabulous story. We know how transformed those students are. And I love that you made the point that it doesn't have to only be from your own classroom or your own school. You can figure out what other schools might be interested in your program too. Good. Thank you again. So we have 2 more sessions today, and I'd like Crystal to lead the 2, one on third-party support, which we highly recommend. It makes it a lot easier for you. And then an overview of faculty proposals in our software, Teradata. Crystal, are you ready? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. And thank you all again once more for being here. It's so exciting to not only see each of you, but to also put faces to names and imagine all the incredible programs that our students will be able to take part in. And so thank you for your ingenuity, for that shared excitement to create these kinds of opportunities for our students. And it will be such a delight to work with each of you. To tell you a little bit more about myself, I am a relative newcomer to CU Denver. I started this past August and hit the ground running, and I just cannot thank our team enough for all of the incredible work that they do with the faculty, with our students, and again, really helping to bring these visions and to reality. But prior to coming to CU Denver, I was at the University of Denver. I'm working in their study abroad office. And overall, I've worked in international education for nearly 10 years now. I studied international relations and Japanese in college, but I actually studied abroad in Taiwan. on a new pilot program that the University of South Carolina had launched. And I will add to the chat here for everyone a link to a recently published article earlier this month, just kind of explaining my experience with studying abroad and who really motivated me and inspired me to take that big step. And so, sharing that perspective, as a student of color, having that incredible opportunity that indeed changed my life. And that experience is what continues to motivate me to do this work. And it's again, people like you who will help give students this once in a lifetime experience that will make college so meaningful and memorable for them. And since studying abroad, I've traveled to about 17 countries overall, but I've specialized over time in Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Italy, Japan, Taiwan, and different parts of the UK. So here at CU Denver, I'm now working closely with the College of Architecture and Planning, helping to oversee those programs launching this Maymester and summer in Finland, Denmark, Italy, and Spain, and Turkey. I'm also working with the business school for their London Calling program in England and on a one-year MBA program taking place in Panama, which is quite exciting. Also working with the School of Education and Human Development on a program in Spain, and several projects with the College of Arts and Media, overseeing one of their faculty-led programs in India. But I've also helped to launch CAM's new semester-long program in Singapore for fall 2022, and getting ready to start planning for their semester-long program in Malaysia for spring 2023. So lots going on, but after hearing all of the just brilliant ideas that each of you have had, and especially in those countries that have had a lot of experience in, it's so exciting to begin working with all of you more closely in the coming months. So thank you all again. So as Catherine mentioned, I wanted to provide an overview of third-party support and an overview of our faculty proposals. So why consider working with a third-party provider? Third-party providers are study abroad companies based both in the US and abroad that not only develop their own study abroad programs in partnerships with universities and institutes abroad, but they also work closely with teachers and faculty here in the US to develop custom programs, or taking an existing program model abroad and kind of making it your own signature program. So these companies can help you elevate your program by providing tailored curriculum support, integrated risk management. So not only would you be working closely with CU Denver from a risk management standpoint, but you'd also have those resources that the provider offers at 24/7 monitoring that they do to help advise on ways to mitigate risks with your programs. And they also offer strong logistical expertise. So though this kind of support, like this program package, may increase the price of your program overall, the peace of mind that this option may offer, along with the reduced need to coordinate every single aspect of your program by yourself, may indeed be worth it, especially in the age of COVID, where having a local expert navigating those ever-changing on-site restrictions or entry restrictions and policies can be absolutely crucial. So I do want to share my screen for a moment to provide you with some examples of third-party providers that our faculty leaders commonly work with. And my apologies in advance for having a very sensitive trackpad in case the window suddenly closes on its own. But I'll add to the chat the link to the page that I'm displaying here. So on our program types page, we have a listing of the different kinds of study abroad programs that we offer, but I'd like for you all to pay attention to the third-party provider program section. Now, the listing of third-party providers here are providers that we commonly work with or already have contracts with as a university, or providers that we may not have a formal partnership with, but we vetted them and we know that they offer a good service. They are a strong company. Now, not all providers that our faculty work with are listed here, but these are the ones that our students most commonly study abroad through. And each of them do offer the option for having a custom program support if you would like to work with them. So as you'll see here, there are descriptions on what sets these companies apart. If you would like to get to know them a bit more and have some feedback from us on our experiences working with them, feel free to connect with us in OGE, and we would absolutely be happy to discuss them further. So this first list, oops, and my apologies for the very sensitive trackpad. The affiliate providers here, I do just want to make a quick distinction that affiliate providers are the study abroad providers that we have a formal contract with. And as a result, students who may study abroad through these companies may have access to special scholarships, special discounts. So if you do decide to work with an affiliate provider, which tends to be those fairly large study abroad companies with lots of scholarship options available, do ask if they would be able to offer discounts since you are from a university that already has a partnership with them. Some may be flexible with that, some may not be, but it is a perk when working with the companies listed in this particular category. And then the approved providers, these are providers that we do not have a formal partnership with, but these are also popular choices for our students. And some may be quite similar to the providers that are listed closer to the top of this page. But again, if you have any questions about these companies, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to talk with you about them more. But I do want to share a quick video here in a moment about one of our providers, that we work closely with, Barcelona SAE. But I want to share this video specifically because it features one of our own instructors, EJ Yoder, and her very popular food fight program. So let's see if I can switch to that one. Okay, and please let me know if you cannot see the screen or if you cannot hear any sound.
I decided to direct a study abroad program because study abroad changed my life when I was a college student. And I wanted to witness that same experience for my students.
Whether you're teaching entrepreneurship or accounting or finance or operations, it's so important to go overseas and learn how other people do things to kind of continue to build your creative muscles and see how we can become more efficient and effective.
I feel it's very important to take students abroad because it's time for those particular students to learn how to be global citizens.
We knew that we need to partner with someone who had a lot of credibility and a lot of experience working with students. And so Barcelona SAU is the perfect organization to work with us.
Barcelona SAE has taken out the challenges of designing a study abroad program in Barcelona for me.
The staff is so willing to meet you where you are. Their ability to hear what any institution might need and find out how they can work with that institution to get the students what they need is remarkable to me.
They made the process incredibly simple.
We sat down and we designed an itinerary around the academics.
Just from the very first contact, they took a lot of those different logistics components off of my plate so that it became much easier for me to simply work with the students and curate the right experience for the students coming abroad.
The staff has organized a series of local excursions, but also excursions outside of Barcelona.
That's the real power of the program, that teachers can really focus on what they want to teach. And Barcelona SAE takes what you teach and they give you different opportunities that complement what you teach.
You have a much different relationship than just professor and student when you take students abroad. I'm in touch with all of the students who've ever been on this program.
This experience in Barcelona has already changed how I teach. It is already helping me think about teaching experientially. When I think about how congenial the staff is, when I think about how organized the staff has been, how carefully they've prepared us in the weeks and months that preceded our arrival, when I think about how patient they've been when they've listened to student concerns and guided the students through the experience of settling in here, I can think of no other organization that I would want to work with besides Barcelona SAE.
Okay. My apologies for the low sound at the very beginning, but I'm glad I was able to fix that for everyone. Okay, so, and hopefully that was also a great example, of the impact of working with a third-party provider, including feedback from our own faculty leaders, EJ Yoder for the Popular Food Fight program. So I want to kind of quickly go through some examples of what third-party providers tend to offer. So first, on-site staff support. This may include round-trip airport transfers, on-site orientation, like a cultural orientation, an orientation with key safety tips to be mindful of in that location. They may coordinate all on-site facilities for you, even arranging classroom space for you in advance, and help to coordinate flights to your program's destination. So once you meet with that provider for that initial consultation, they'll want to know kind of what services you may be looking for, and they can help customize a package for you based on how much you like for them to handle all of the work on site versus how much autonomy you would like to have with making those arrangements. So I want to use just a quick example that Catherine mentioned earlier with our winter programs earlier in December and January. For Cuba in particular, we had a few cases where some of our faculty and some students arrived for the program a bit late because of flight issues, but the on-site provider was able to step in and welcome those who arrived late and quickly make any changes necessary on the ground. So the program wasn't interrupted. The provider was able to step in and help make sure everything continued running as smoothly as possible. Someone also had to be in COVID isolation early in that program. And so the third-party provider was helpful in monitoring that situation, reducing the need for the faculty leaders to focus a lot of time on handling that isolation case. They also offer 24-hour emergency support. So if a crisis of some sort arises on site, they are able to help step in, manage that so that you can focus more on the rest of your program. They also can facilitate an in-house on-call system with their teams on site and in the US. and provide guidance on potential risks in your program's location. Another area that they can offer support on is curriculum guidance. So many providers work closely with faculty to help tailor the desired student learning outcomes with the available resources on site. And some providers can also offer themed programming in a variety of subject areas. So I want to share a quick example here from CIS Abroad, one of the affiliate providers that we work with. And they have a few what they call ready to run programs. And these programs here in the sample program section, you can see are themed and they last for varying lengths of time. So if you want to run like a 1 week spring break program or a winter program or a short summer program, they already have some program packages put in place, and they can take that existing model and customize it based on the content of your course. And you'll see that there are some very interesting examples here, including some that are a bit more STEM oriented that we tend to not see a lot of in our office. And that way, yeah, you can take a look at what the provider already offers and be like, oh, hey, I have some great ideas for a program in that location or a program with that theme. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel from scratch. So this is just one example. I'll show another example in just a couple of moments. But what's also nice about the programs that some of our providers can offer is that they can arrange for guest lectures to come to your classroom to speak on various topics. So they may already have those connections in country where you don't have to go out of your way to try to find people to meet with. So an example of that would be with CIEE's custom-led, or customized faculty-led programs. They have several examples listed here. So again, some of the fields of study that they commonly work with. And also they have closer to the bottom, themed programs, in various locations. So if I select, say, for example, we want to see if they have the identity politics one in Amsterdam. This is another ready to run program where it's kind of pre-built, but you can easily adapt it to your own needs. But coming down, you'll see for lectures, they already have examples of some guest lectures that they can arrange for you based on topic. They also can provide specific site visits that they've already pre-planned for you, all still in line with the theme for that program that you are wanting to run. They will also include, you'll see towards the bottom, like an overview of what all would be part of that package. So third-party programs also tend to arrange accommodations for you. They have an example here, but these could range from hotels, apartments, hostels, dorms, even homestays. So that's already taken care of for you. Meals may also be included, such as a welcome meal, a farewell meal, food for excursions off-site, maybe even a daily breakfast. And that can also help cut down on the out-of-pocket expenses that students may need to be mindful of. And some may offer to manage local gratuities for you. So you don't have to worry about tipping. The provider takes care of all of that for you. And then lastly, something else that they can offer is marketing assistance. So of course, in our office, we will help arrange the fair. We will arrange marketing flyers for you. We can participate in information sessions with you. But some providers will go that extra mile and work with you to develop a recruitment plan based on the kinds of students you're trying to attract, the nature of your institution, They may even help come up with their own graphics packages for you, like if you want to use on your own colleges or schools' social media pages. And that CIEE, for example, will offer a recruitment toolkit, as they call it, with kind of a step-by-step guide of maybe what could work best 6 months out, 3 months out, 2 months out, and so forth, and how to market that program even after it has ended, and utilizing your alumni to help spread the word about that program. So kind of having an additional thought partner to help make all that possible. But again, all of those different elements you can include or exclude. Is up to you for how much support you would want. So if you are new, it is definitely something I recommend considering. Or if you have some ideas on programs, but you're not exactly sure how to execute them, a third-party provider may be able to step in and help make that program come to life for you with the resources that they have on the ground. So with that, I wanted to launch then a quick poll for what is an example of the support that third-party providers can offer. Okay. Fantastic. So yes, that is right. All of the above. And so again, that support can be whatever you'd like for it to be. And if you have some questions on what the support could look like, what third parties are available, absolutely feel free to speak with us in OGE, and we'd be happy to help navigate you through those options a bit. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to cover during this section, and I'll share my screen one last time, is an overview of the faculty proposal. So Nicole did an amazing job earlier in this session talking about the faculty handbook and why that is such an important tool for you to use. And the proposal itself can be a bit intimidating, especially kind of looking over the guidance in the handbook, section by section. But we do want you to know that the proposal is something that evolves a little bit every year. And we receive a lot of feedback from faculty leaders over the years on how to improve the proposal application. And we do listen to that feedback and do whatever we can to make that better each year. And the realities of COVID have caused us to examine how to strategically help faculty leaders plan for possible risks with leading a study abroad program, how to better recruit students, especially in this current hybrid reality, and how to be more mindful of diversity, equity, and inclusion in your program development and marketing. So as a result, we have made a few major changes to the proposal application, which are also outlined in this year's faculty handbook. But I do just want to let you know very quickly kind of what the proposal itself will look like, especially for those of you who have led a program in the past. So we have 3 new versions of the application. We have a domestic study proposal, a global study proposal, so for programs that are outside of the US and its territories, a recurring global study proposal, and co-faculty leaders will also need to complete our co-faculty addendum. So using the global study proposal as a quick example, each proposal is now divided into 4 to 5 separate sections, rather than it being one long form. And each part is, it has its own theme or topic. So for part 1, program information, this basically includes details on the program's name, location, your anticipated dates, the group size, the course or courses included in this program, application requirements, and so forth. So just the very basic details about this program. And then once you complete this section of the application, you'll be able to come down to the bottom, and it will give you the option to either save it or submit it. So save if you want to come back and work on it later. You could also submit it once you're finished with that section. The second part, motivation and prior experience. This section includes questions about whether the program has run in the past, whether you were a faculty leader for it or not, your experience with leading groups, and why you're interested in leading a program in this location. So this is also one that you can think about a bit before you complete it. The risk management section. So this is one that has undergone several changes this year. So scrolling down a little bit, you'll notice that since we are relying much more heavily on international SOS ratings to assess risk rather than the US State Department's travel advisory levels because of COVID-19, we've adjusted these questions a little bit so that we can make sure you can research what the international SOS ratings are for your destination, along with the US State Department's travel advisory levels. We also asked you to identify any particular risks in that program or location. So this is one that if you do work with a third-party provider, they can also help you with this. But one addition that we've made to this section is that we've included Lonely Planet as a resource, particularly the dangers and annoyances section, to just get an idea again of what common risks, whether they're health related, safety related, security related, that you need to be mindful of, and how you plan to address and reduce each risk that you were able to research. We then asked for information about any water-based activities, their transportation methods, any physical activities that are required for this program. And you would need to include more in-depth information about those in your emergency action plan. One other question that I do want to highlight here is question 10. You'll see that we want to know whether you have responsibility for individuals beyond registered students and family members, such as whether you want to bring a student alumni with you, and just to be a resource for this program. But regardless, we'll need information about those situations as well. The second to last section that I will quickly point out here is the marketing and recruitment section. The main change to this section this year is that we are wanting faculty to be more proactive about how to consider diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies in your recruitment efforts, especially as we consider promoting or continue promoting the idea to students that studying abroad is within their reach. So we'll want to make sure that you're mindful of DEI, both in your recruitment and marketing strategies, but also in your course curriculum. And finally, the syllabus and daily schedule section. This has not changed this year, though we have made it its own separate section. I do want to make a quick plug that our office and Michelle Carpenter will offer a syllabus review workshop. I believe it's March 18th, Nicole?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. And that we'll also encourage you to attend before submitting your proposal. And so the last point that I do want to make is to help cut down on space. You'll see that a lot of the questions in the proposal direct you to review the faculty handbook for guidance on how to answer some of the more detailed questions. And the handbook also includes some examples of exemplary responses. So please, please, please consult the handbook first before attempting to answer each question.
Thank you, Crystal.
Yes.
We'll stay on for another minute in case there's any questions, but that's a wrap for session 1. I hope you will all be able to join us for session 2, Friday, February 18th, where you're going to learn how to plan in a pandemic and what types of incidents might occur abroad, how to market and some marketing tips and ideas, as well as what works and what doesn't work when you're developing your programs. So we're looking forward to seeing you all again, and we still have space for more if you have friends you want to bring along. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us.